Welcome to the Curious Conversation Collaborative, a community for purpose-seeking entrepreneurs, leaders, and changemakers.
Listen to inspiring conversations with your hosts, inner leadership mentor Tessa Van Keken and business wealth coach Karen Ravel. Hello and welcome back to our Curious Conversations. Hi Tessa.
Hi Karen.
And this is the final conversation we're having this month in the theme of getting support. And so far we've covered about trying to do things all alone and all by yourself and the pros and cons of that. About collaboration and working together and what are the benefits of doing that. And we've also looked at outsourcing and delegating. And this week we're going to look about the actual asking for support. So
the most difficult part.
Yeah. So we can look at some practical elements, but also some challenging conversations that you might need. But I think to start off with, it's really important to actually be clear about what it is you actually need in terms of asking for support. Because if you don't actually know what it is you need, then you don't really know what it is that you need to ask for. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think as we talked about, like the three elements that we talked about, like, you know, the things that you do on your own, the things you do yourself, or then the collaboration, like working equally together with someone in a project or in a collaborative, and then the outsourcing or delegating. So for those three, like in a way, to me, they're the main three, and there might be other ones, but so to even know what's your intention. So is your intention that you're going to do something by yourself, but you might need some support to do it? Or is your intention to work together with someone? Or is your intention to delegate something? So that already kind of course, influences what kind of support you will need.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, like, for instance, last week we talked about delegating. So if there's a specific task you want someone else to do for you, then obviously it's incredibly important to know exactly what you're expecting of them, because otherwise you can't actually ask them to do it for you. But even we spoke about it when working together, that, like, you know, if you want to work with someone, you need to know what you want to get out of that, or how you want it to look, to be able to check, like to work together, and actually ask them as well how to work together, what you would like them to collaborate with you on.
Yeah, and also I think, and the other one you mentioned is, you know, if you need some sort of support to actually help you about your own personal leadership, you know, whether you're in an organization or whether it's in your business, you might need to join a mastermind group or, you know, engage a mentor or coach to help you, so that you can see things from different perspectives and get a different point of view. To just get you through, you know, to basically shine a light on your own sort of blind spots, basically. And the third one, a fourth one is actually some training as well. Yes. You know, to actually, you know, because if you haven't got the knowledge in something, then you need to learn it. So all of those are different elements of support. So I think you're right. You need to be absolutely clear about what it is that you want, first of all, so that you know the right type of people to get in to help you.
Yeah, and the type of support. Like, and I think it's, as you said, it's what you want and what you need. So it's like you need to be clear on that part. And again, sometimes you need to talk to someone to talk that through, of course, because you know, sometimes we don't know exactly what we need, but it is what you need to get clear on first.
Yeah.
And then to look at, like, how do you actually get that support? Like, because again, is it like that you need your personal, do you need mindset support? Do you need to change the way you deal with things? Or is it practical support? Is it like, you know, or training, all these kind of things? But once you've figured out what you think you need in this moment, then it's how and where to find it. But that's always difficult because the internet is full with all, like, you know, for instance, if you decided you needed a coach around something, then which one? How do you know? And I think this is the thing where it really comes to, again, do not think that you need to do it all on your own and start Googling reviews, but to actually look around you and think, you know, who can help you with this? Maybe you know someone in your personal or in your professional network. So ask around, start mentioning the support you're looking for to people you know and see.
Getting referrals, especially, I mean, we know that from our own business, but getting referrals, you know, from someone else that you know and trust is always a good place to start. So yeah, absolutely ask around. But I think
actually,
also,
following on with that, because I think that's very important. Again, we talked about this earlier about the personality types, right? And all these things, but people you like versus people that complement you. So I think with this, that's again also very important. When you're asking for certain support and you ask other people that you know for their experience or their recommendations, make sure that it's people that in this case it's similar to what you're actually looking for. Because if you ask someone who is very I don't know, very organized and very structural, they might recommend someone totally different than if you ask someone who is all over the place and a bit airy-fairy and needs that. So make sure that if you are all over the place, that you ask recommendations from people that are, in this case, similar to you, because that's more likely the person that you need. Whereas if you ask someone who's very organized, then the support they get from someone might not actually working for you.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, that comes back to knowing your own zone of genius, but recognizing other people's as well.
Yeah.
I think the other area is, like, there's quite a lot of organisations out there now online that actually offer these sort of services. So, you know, we talked last week about whether you need support in your personal life. So you can get, you know, a personal assistant. Whether you need a virtual assistant if you're working like us, like on an online business. Whether you're in a leadership role and you need more support from your team, or you need new team members. So it's actually looking at the places where you can get these people. And in this day and age, there are so many people out there doing these things for a living themselves. It's their business. And I think that's one of the things, and this is especially true if you're trying to look for things in your personal life or you're a small business owner. It's like, you do not have to employ these people. It's not like a large organization. You don't have to employ people. You can take them on for specific time frames, for specific projects, for specific just one-off items. It's like, you don't have to end up in this, you know, burdensome contract with someone. So you can start off really small and test things out, and then see how it goes and how that relationship goes, and then go from there. So and I think that flexibility is available to us all today. And so it's a lot easier than it has been in the past.
Yeah, and I think whatever support you're looking for, whether it's like more practical, whether it's tasks in your house, or whether it's like, again, VA kind of support, or a mentor, or someone to collaborate with, always get to know the person. First thing first. Don't think that you first have to agree to work with someone and then see how it goes. No, first, like, you know, I mean, and then that doesn't mean that you have to go on 10 coffee dates or anything, but like, you know, have a conversation before, you know. Absolutely. And I think that is so easy nowadays. You can do it, like, even the way we are talking on Zoom now, you know, like it's so easy to have a conversation with people in a way. It could even be, even in 15 or 30 minutes, you could get a very good idea whether there's some click. And then, as you said, nowadays with all the social media, if you know, it's easy in groups to ask for recommendations, like, you know, to who people recommend, and you can, you know, check out people's websites and their social media. I know it doesn't necessarily give you all, you know, the kind of reference or anything. I know there's a lot of, at the moment, talk around, like, you know, how trustworthy the online reviews and the online recommendations are, because, well, you know, you don't really know where they're coming from. But people's pages, people's profiles do give you an idea of like their energy, their personality. So do use that as well to see whether you feel that is someone you resonate with.
Yeah, and there's one other aspect that I'd like to talk about in this asking for support, because I've certainly been in this situation myself where, you know, maybe you're in an organization and you have a boss that you don't feel is supporting you, or maybe you're working for yourself and you feel your partner or other family members don't support you. They don't, you know, they see you at home and they think that you're available all the time and that you know, you're not actually working. So I think, you know, sometimes actually asking for support in itself can be quite difficult, and maybe you need help in asking for that support, if you see what I mean. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. You know, because I think there's two elements to that, right? Sometimes when we find it scary to ask support, particularly if it's like someone close to us, maybe, and that could even include a boss, like a manager, like if it's someone we are like, you know, responsible for in that way, like we're responsible to, but also like someone close to us, like as you said, a partner or family, then if we find it difficult to ask support, then the way we're asking might actually end up not being very effective. You know, so I think there's definitely some help, and also people can refuse. Like, I mean, you know, and this can also happen when you're hiring even a VA or something else, right? That sometimes when we then say, hey, could you help me? And someone says no, we go into rejection mode. We go like, oh, they're rejecting us. You know, and either it's their fault or our fault, right? So I think it's very important, again, to also align yourself with that, to know that you have difficulty with that, get support in how are you asking for support, but also to, if someone says no, that you don't go into taking that personal.
Yeah, but I think a really good practical tip here would be to actually practice with someone, having that conversation beforehand, so that you can get some feedback on, like you say, the way you're asking for it, because you want to come from a place of still being empowered and positive the way you ask for it, rather than a kind of place of disempowerment, basically, because and I know certainly in a relationship where it's a boss, or it may even be with a partner, where you don't want it to be like you're asking permission.
Yes.
You know, so I think you, like I say, you do want to come from an empowered place. So, you know, maybe practice with a coach or a mentor or a trusted friend first, so that you can kind of really have the right energy when you actually ask for that support in the first place.
And I think this can also be very helpful from the perspective of sometimes we think we're clear on what we want and what we're asking, but then when we're asking, then if it doesn't, if we don't get the response we expected, we think it's the other person's fault. Whereas if we would have practiced this first, then it turns out that maybe the way we asked or what we said wasn't actually so clear for someone else. So I think this is also a very good way to get more aware of, you know, how to express what's internally there, our intention to actually get it across in a way that's being understood by the other person. And it's much easier to practice that first with someone that it's not relevant for, like that's not, the question is not meant for, than to straight away do that with someone. Otherwise you can get into the discussion.
Right, so okay, that was really interesting today, Tessa. So that wraps up the theme for this month on getting support, where we do hope you've got some good tips and advice from us through these conversations. We would love to have your feedback. You can, you know, drop us comments wherever you're seeing this, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can drop us a comment. You can even give us a voicemail. We'd love to have your messages and your feedback. And then we'll be moving on to a new theme next month. And again, we're open to ideas. If you want to drop in some ideas that you'd like to hear us comment about, we'd love to hear from you. But until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? Do share your thoughts and questions in the comments or send us a message.
Do you know someone else who'd be interested in our curious conversations? Please share and spread the word. You can find out more about us at KarenRavel.com
and tessavancaken.com. Tune in next week for another curious conversation.